thinking about the perils of over-optimization is something I brought up with Huberman last year. And, I think a lot of people, I have a friend who's a very well-known DJ that told me he was falling out of love with DJing because he knew that it was damaging his sleep. And because he knew how important sleep was to performance, that he'd kind of got him, the bar stool had been turned upside down a little bit, and the thing that he was trying to do was being sacrificed for the thing which is supposed to facilitate it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you lose more life trying to optimize everything than just living it. The stress of trying to be perfect is killing you more quickly than your imperfections.
All right. So I'm glad we came back to optimization because there's obviously on the extreme, there's guys like Brian Johnson with Blueprint who are trying to like live to 200 or live forever. And I respect dedication to anything always. Interestingly, I've always been a maximizer. So I've actually not really been an optimizer in my life. It's just like, as soon as I have an input-output equation where it's like N equals X, and it's like, and if I want 10X, I do 10N, I'm like, great, then can we do 1,000N? Like, I just want to do as much of that as I humanly possible. But I love competitors who like optimizing because I always see it as a weakness. Because it's so easy to exploit. It's like, oh, you need your 8 hours of sleep, or you need your morning routine, or if you don't have your supplements, you're just totally fucked. Or like, I didn't have my coffee this morning, so I can't function. Like, I love to compete against people like that because they're so easy to break.
It's fragile.
Yeah. And so what happens is the optimizations become superstition.
Correct.
And so my fear around, and maybe I take a more extreme stance on this, but like, I've always wanted to be able to, with an internet connection and a laptop and a fold-out chair, go make money. And always have that as my North Star, that anything else is extra. And I feel like I lose more quickly when I get into this optimization cycle around, because I remember years ago, I bought one of those rings that tracks your sleep. And I kept trying to like set sleep PRs. And you can only get so high anyways. And then I started stressing more about not hitting sleep PRs, that I was sleeping worse than when I wasn't tracking it. And so then I was like, well, fuck this thing. And I slept fine the next night. And so obviously microcosm, I'm a big believer in tracking progress in general, but just the idea that we become so overly romantic around these things that sometimes you just have to break shit. And sometimes you have to be violent. And sometimes when you're on your journey, you're not going to sleep much. And you're going to like, there was a 2-year period where I did turnarounds for gyms. I flew around the nation. Every month I would do a new gym. I ate out of gas stations and I ate gas station food. And I gained weight during that period of time. And it was for then and not forever. And I'm in shape now. And so whatever, who cares? And so like, I used to tell this when I was selling weight loss to people. I'd say like, who cares if you get in shape for 6 weeks out of 80 years? And like, right as they're about to sign up for a membership, I was like, you want to sign, and then this is how I would sell longer memberships, but like, it's also true. It's like, you want to sign up for the 6 weeks, but like, Susan, like, who cares if you lose 20 pounds and you're still overweight 6 weeks from now, and then you gain it back the next 6 weeks and you're still the exact same weight for the rest of your life. And so I think the absolute dedication to maximization so that it becomes a part of your identity and your character has been one of the outsized returns that I've gotten in my life. And just being absolutely willing to like, I'm pretty violent about this, but like, list all the things that you aren't willing to give up for the dreams that you have. And that is what the person who will beat you is willing to give up.
There's a phenomenal blog post that talks about why guys aren't getting girlfriends. And this is pre-modern mating crisis. So it's not to do with like imbalances on Tinder and tall girl problem and all that stuff. It's a guy who thinks that the bare minimum is acceptable. So he talks about how I'm always on time. and I hold the door open and I say please and thank you. And I'm nice to my mum. And the dude, I'll never forget it. There's this line in the blog post where the guy who's like having this pretend dialogue with this imaginary person goes, so fucking what? There's a guy who does all of those things and he plays the guitar.
Well, it's like the song lyric, baby, you the whole package and you pay your taxes. Yeah. I mean, I think also to the same degree, I mean, like I'm no mating, whatever expert, like no idea. I got married early, did all the things that, whatever you're not supposed to do. But yeah, And yet, if you are true to you, like, what's the most uncringe thing, right? Is you being you. I'm pretty sure that I turned away plenty of girls who were like, this guy's successful, he's in shape, decent looking, strikingly handsome. But they'd meet me and they'd be like, what a fucking weirdo. But the thing is like and I remember I had, there were so many girls that I was like, you're pretty. And I just don't care at all. And so I wanted someone who got my peculiarities, who was like, not only like accepting of them, but just like down for it. And so I walked through most of my, and to be fair, as a side note, for anybody who like wants to quote be exceptional, you're going to be different and people are going to think you're weird and like you might not get second dates, but real, you're not going to want the second date too because they're not like you. Like when you get unplugged, you're like, oh wow, everyone's a sheep. This is weird. And you just go on a zillion first dates to be like, yet another one. And every once in a while you see a glimmer in someone who they're like, oh, you think for yourself. Like you can make your own conclusions. I remember when Layla and I went on our first date, we went at a frozen yogurt store. And so of course I'm like, so you know how they make their money here, right? I was like, so these things weigh this, they charge this per ounce. And I was like breaking this whole thing down. And she was like, oh yeah. And they do this and this. And I was like, wait, you see this too? Like it wasn't like just like Alex just talking
like
about
the
business.
child out of the fucking Sixth Sense or whatever it is.
I was so excited because normally I would just have to like I would talk about the stuff that at least I like to talk about because then we'd pass the time. Not good dating strategy.
I'm just here to entertain myself.
Yeah. But then she also like talked about this stuff and I was like, holy shit.
Well, what's the alternative? The alternative is to find someone who falls in love with a role that you're playing.
Right.
That's the best that you can hope for.
Right.
And then lock yourself in to a future of having to perform in a way that this person has become accustomed to.
And there's nothing that can be more lonely than I can possibly imagine than pretending every single hour of every day that you're someone you're not.
Do you know who Dr. Robert Glover is? He wrote No More Mr. Nice Guy.
No, but I like the title.
Had him on the podcast last week. This guy is a fucking boss. So cool. Like mid 60s or something now, huge goatee.
He smokes cigarettes?
Probably rip starts. That's this office, by the way, is completely, it's like smoking enabled. We're in Vegas. And he had 3 essences of an attractive man.
Right.
And I think it's a really lovely frame. The essence of an attractive man, he's comfortable in his own skin. He knows where he's going. And he has fun while he's going there. Nailed. So good. But like that,
if you think about that as, okay, so if you're in like, even like an attractive man, whether you're married or not, like, I mean, on the flip side, it's like, do you want to be married and then choose to become unattractive? Well, no, of course not. And so it's like, if those are 3 ideals, it's like you have direction in your life, you're internally comfortable. And the fun part is what makes you, partially attractive. And now, mind you, if you just have one of the 3, you will find a mate who's attractive. Like if you just know with all your fucking soul you're going somewhere, people will want to rally behind you.
Yep.
Even if you're not having fun, and even if you're not that
Musk's
comfortable.
got 10 kids.
Right, and even if you're not that comfortable in your own skin, but you're like, that guy, like, no matter what, he's gonna fucking get there. On the flip side, if you don't know where you're going and you don't even have much fun, but you're like, that guy is comfortable, like, say what you want, but that guy is good with him. That's that'll, like, if you just had one, and if you just have a shitload of fun, and you don't know where you're going and you're not that comfortable, like, you'll still have people. I'd probably prefer the first 2 to the third, but but like as ideals, like, fuck, very strong.
Alex, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on. What's next? What can people expect from you next few months?
Well, all my effort is in the Skool Games. So we're, I can talk about them. I can not talk about them. Yeah. So I just made the biggest investment of my life. I'm now co-owner of Skool.com. It's a platform where you can build what you want to build, learn what you want to learn. And schools will give you the tools, the community, and the education to help you. And so we've actually created a whole thing where people can start all this stuff for free. Because I believe my whole platform has been education. That's what I believe in. I think the education system is broken, and teachers don't get paid or given the resources to actually teach students, and they're supposed to teach tests that they know don't help students. Students get educated on stuff that doesn't matter in the real world, and they go into mountains of debt for a piece of paper that doesn't make them anything to pay off the debt that they're in for the rest of their lives. And I hate all of it, which is why we started making the content that we do. And so, this is one big investment that I'm doing to try and make my small dent towards helping fix that. And I obviously talk about business. That's what I know. Okay. But one person can't do that. Like I can't change. I mean, I can try, but like, I don't think one person's going to change the world. And so, I wanted to invest in a platform that would help other people do that for one another. And so whether it's like, you know how to paint and you want to teach people to paint, you know how to fix Hondas and you want to teach people to do that. Like there are so many more useful skills that we can trade with one another. And I think Ben Franklin said, there's no more noble a deed than to help another know more, to educate. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And so, I mean, that's what I'm investing my dollars and my time into. And so, yeah, that's like my whole next year.